Hi, Lee Judges here. Just got a little chat about Everton and Arsenal and what I think will happen in the coming season, come what may, where Everton and Arsenal will finish. Taking a look at Everton first, I think done some good business, shrewd business, I think, with a couple of free transfers, and I think Everton have done well losing Ancelotti and replacing him with Benitez. I think it's a very, very shrewd move. I know that the links with Liverpool may have not gone down too well with some Everton fans, but the experienced manager, and I'll be honest, I would have liked him to have been at Arsenal, so I think that that's a good move from Everton. I think that with Calvin-Lewin up front, you're always going to score goals. I think he'll be the top player for Everton this season. I think that with crosses coming in from him, he'll always score goals. If I'll be honest, a little bit like Arsenal, I think that if Everton have to do anything better going into the season, I think they need to improve their starting 11 with a few signings. But of course, we've got another 3 weeks of the transfer window, and I think, like Arsenal, not done enough coming into the opening game of the seasons. Everton, I think, will do well, depending, I do believe, on what happens in the next 3 weeks. And you could say the same about Arsenal. I think Arsenal at this moment in time will go round about where Everton are at it come the end of the season. If they don't make signings, if they make some signings, I think then Arsenal could push just like Everton. So it'd be interesting. Arsenal's transfer policy at the moment has been poor. I just think Ben White is a good signing, but we need more than that. Arsenal finished 8th last season and we're not really improved on our starting 11. Lokonga looks a very good player though, so I think that something can develop with him. I think Arsenal going down that route, but ultimately, as it stands, I can't see Arsenal or Everton getting the passports out for Europe next season unless they do some business in the next 3 weeks, which I think both teams will. And I think that if they do, then we could see Arsenal and Everton challenging for the 5th, 6th places at this moment in time.
Hello, Dan Bardell here from The Athletic and The Villa View to talk about Everton and what I think is going to happen to them this season. Not great to be going on an Everton show and being worried for them, but I actually am a little bit. I think I've been there before where Villa have made unpopular managerial appointments. I think back to Alex McLeish, and it makes for a toxic atmosphere. And if there's Everton fans or a large volume of Everton fans that don't want Rafa Benitez there, as soon as it starts to go badly, the atmosphere will turn. And then I think Goodison Park, which wasn't a happy ground for you last year anyway, I think it becomes a difficult place to play. You haven't done much business. I think the players that you brought in, to be fair, for low fees are decent players in Townsend, and I really like Damari Gray. Obviously, he's from Birmingham. He's someone who I've always rated and looked out for, but I just think you need a little bit more. I think Everton are in that awkward position where there's this group of players together that have been put together by 4 or 5 different managers, because such is the nature of the managerial merry-go-round, and you've unexpectedly had to change managers again. And I just worry for you. I think you won't go down. I don't think you're in any danger of going down at all, but I think you'll underachieve. And I've done all my predictions for another podcast that I do, Who Scored and stuff today, and I just can't see any way in which Everton finish in the top half of the table, that would be a worry. Obviously, Everton fans have got high expectations. Very similar clubs, Everton and Villa, that they're always going to be expected to be in and around and being the best of the rest. So I think it's going to be a difficult season incoming for Everton. Obviously, much of what you do will depend on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, so he's your main man. If anything was to happen to him, then I'd worry for you even further. But with him in the side, he's always going to guarantee you between 10 and 20 goals. Dominic Calvert-Lewin can be a bit streaky at times, but I think he's developing year on year, and I think he'll come firing for you. He'll come good, so you won't be in any relegation danger at all. But in general, I'm worried for Everton's season. From a Villa point of view, yes, we've lost our best player, but I'm happy with the transfer business we're doing. I'm happy with the way the club's conducting itself and the way that it's run. I think we've spent the money wisely so far, brought in 3 very good attacking players. I know we'll get a couple of more players in as well. I think Emi Buendia is the natural Grealish replacement in terms of creativity, but I think he's a player that the fans are going to love. I think his pressing game is going to be something that perhaps some Villa fans aren't aware of, so I think that's going to take him to the Villa fans' heart, and he's going to be a crucial player for Villa moving forward. But got a lot of time for Everton, a lot of time for the fans. I wish you the very best going into the new season, except for when you play Aston Villa Football Club.
It's Billy here from Besotted. Absolutely teaming it down here. and I've been asked to give my predictions for this season to see how Brentford are going to do, how Everton are going to do. Listen, we've been in the Championship and in the lower leagues for years, so I don't even know the Premier League that well, so I'm actually familiarising myself with it. But yeah, we're going to enjoy ourselves down there as well. Everton, good team, good fans. I remember we played you in the Cup quite a few seasons ago as well. We beat you on penalties, but we had a great day with the penalty with the Everton fans as well, before the game, after the game, and it was a good one. But for Brentford this season, we're just happy to be here, and we play some decent football. Hopefully we will get ourselves enough results to make sure that we don't get relegated, fingers crossed. Ivan Toney will score some goals. You know, we've got a few new players like Frank the Tank Onyeka as well, who'll do his thing. And listen, I'm going to get wet here as well. So fingers crossed, like I said to you, we'll do the business this season, and hopefully maybe 16th or 17th. If we can finish that, I'll be absolutely delighted. That's for Everton. Good team. And I hope that you push for a top 6 place. I hope that you actually upset some of the people up there, because there's too many teams lodged in the top 6 out there that maybe just need to have a little bit of lesson talk. So fingers crossed, Everton, you do the business as well this season. We'll see you when you come down to Griffin Park. Have a beer with us. I'll come up to Everton. We'll have a beer with you. We'll have a good time. This is Billy from Besotted. BEESOTTED, Pride of West. London. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Adi Packham. I'm the presenter of the Albion Roar here in Brighton, and just walking on the beach, thinking about Everton. Strangely, can't think why. What do I think will happen with Everton this season? Well, losing the manager was a big disappointment. I felt that he was building something special there, and obviously faltered a little bit towards the end. But it was, it was a work in progress, I feel, and I understand that your support is split in the appointment of the new manager. Will his style of play suit what Everton fans want? Will he take a safety first approach like he did at Newcastle, or will he entertain? I mean, nobody really knows. Until the ball's kicked in anger, we can't really comment on what he's going to be achieving with the Toffees this year. In terms of the players, well, he signed an ex-Palace player, so that's obviously a look downwards. Couldn't quite understand that one, but it's you still got a great squad there with some good young players, and also one of the best players in the world in James Rodriguez. As for the Albion, again, we're not quite sure what to expect this year. We are basically hoping to improve on last year, as we always do. We had a relatively successful season. We're well and truly behind Graham Potter. We think he's a very exciting young manager. We think that he's certainly improved the players. He's improved the team, and we've got a really good chance of finishing quite a long way up the table this season, hopefully, and we're hoping for at least a top 10 finish. That's got to be our ambition. In terms of our players, we've obviously lost Ben White. We've got 15 million quid burning a hole in the pocket for that. Thanks, Arsenal, for signing our third best England qualified centre back. But what the Arsenal have bought is actually potential, and he could go on to be one of the best centre backs the country's ever seen. And he goes with our blessing. We've got a production line of good centre backs coming through. We don't need to spend an awful lot of money to replace him. But what we do need is something up top. We need a new striker. We need someone who knows where the goal is, because if our XG was anything to be believed, then we would have been champions of the world last season. But we're hopeful of a decent season. As it stands at the moment, we've held on to Iswasuma, which is a brilliant. That will be possibly the best signing of the summer. But we've got a succession line for him as well. Things are looking good down here in Brighton, and as you can see, the sea is splashing, the sun is shining, the dog is staring at me. We're enjoying our walk, and wish you lot all the best of the season, apart from when we meet you at the end of August and at Goodison, whenever that is. See you soon. 80 out. Bye.
Hi lads, Joe Redman here from Turfcast Podcast at Burnley FC Podcast and fan page. Just giving you my thoughts on Everton ahead of the upcoming season. Hope you're all well. It's been interesting watching Everton because obviously I'm close to you guys and your page and stuff. And there's a few Everton fans who follow me and the page. So it's been interesting watching sort of like the meltdowns, I think it's fair to say, that some of the fans have been having with things that have been happening this summer. But from the outside looking in, I think it's all a bit of an overreaction. But every fan base is like that now, isn't there? We're having the same things now with certain things such as lack of signings, ticket prices, and even dugout seats. So everyone has the fans that overreact. But obviously with Everton, the main one this season has got to be losing Ancelotti. I don't think Benitez is a bad replacement though. He isn't as good of a manager though, let's be honest. Ancelotti's a far better manager than Benitez. However, I do think Benitez is an astute replacement. And again, I understand why some fans were a little bit apprehensive, obviously because of the Liverpool links. I wouldn't like Souness or Mark Hughes at Turf Moor, for example, because of the links with Blackburn. So I understand the worry that some of the fans had. But if you just take that emotion away from it and you look at the quality of the manager, I think you've got an okay manager in Rafa Benitez who's done quite well in his career. The issue is he isn't as good as Ancelotti, obviously. In terms of signings, though, I don't think you've brought anyone in that's going to massively improve your squad off the top of my head. There's Gray, isn't there? And Begovic as well. Obviously, he'll be there as backup. And Townsend. They're the three main ones off the top of my head that I can remember. Apologies if I missed anybody. But for me, them three are going to keep your squad ticking along rather than massively improving it. As a Burnley fan, I'd love to bring in them sort of type of players though. Gray and Townsend especially. There was a few rumours that we were interested in both of them. Just paper talk probably at the end of the day, knowing our club, because I doubt we'll pay them sort of wages. But for me, are you looking at how much you did last season, how much you did this season? I can see why some fans might be a little bit apprehensive, but no, I think you'll be relatively okay. I think similar sort of finish to last season, to be honest. Just edging into the top half, maybe. We'll see. I'll say around 10th, 11th for Everton. It might, like I said, might squeeze in the top half, but a lot of teams are strengthening around you. Villa will be interesting though, so we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, I think that's my thoughts on Everton ahead of the new season. Well, good luck, and hopefully both the clubs can do well.
Yes, guys, big up all the Everton fans in here. Subscribe to the Toffee Blues if you guys haven't done so already. Thoughts on Chelsea and Everton going into the new season? Like, obviously, I'll start off with us and I'll say we've done all our transfer business late, but better late than never. We're getting Romelu Lukaku in the space of a few days. He should probably be announced today as I'm recording this, potentially. And you guys know exactly how much trouble he can cause in the Premier League. And all he's done is go to Italy and get better. So I'm very excited to see how he performs when he comes back in, because I'm sure he can hit the ground running. And I'm sure he's going to be the difference between us being in a top 4 race and being in a title race. I think us also potentially getting Jules Koundé in is going to just solidify our defence and make them even stronger, as if they couldn't already be stronger. It's still already the best defence in Champions League history. But I've already been confident in my defence. It's about the midfield for me. And we look to be getting Tchouaméni in. So I'm very confident for the new season. I'm very confident for us. For Everton, though, you guys haven't really made too many signings, but you guys, I thought you had a strong team as well. I thought you guys really finished a lot lower than you guys should have done. I think you guys finished 11th or something like that. And I feel like your team could finish a lot higher than that. I expect you guys to be competing at a higher level. Obviously, like, I'm not too sure what the midfield situation is with you guys, but you guys still have strong midfielders anyway. You've got, what's his name? James Rodriguez. You've got Decore. You've got Allen as well. That's a solid midfield. And if you can get them all fit, then you guys will be in a really good shape for the season. Calvert-Lewin, if he can get some consistency and make it last for our whole season, he'll be a danger for everyone else as well. And Pickford, hopefully, if he can continue the same form he had at the Euros, maybe you guys stand a better chance. But I expect you guys to have a better season than you did last season. I think you guys will be competing for the Europa League spots again. I could see you guys finishing around potentially 7th, maybe 6th in a good season. I think for us it'll be 1st or 2nd. All depends on if we take our chances or not. But for you guys, I could see you guys having a better season than you did last season anyway.
What's going on, guys? It's Dia from Back of the Mess here for a preview for the upcoming season, just sharing my expectations for Everton and also Palace. So let's get this started straight away. So my expectations for Everton going into next season are pretty low by Everton standards. I expected them to do better if one man stayed, and that was Ancelotti, which he hasn't. He went to Real Madrid, and the man you brought in, Rafa Benitez, has just created a divide in the club. You have some fans who do want him, some fans who don't want him because of his affiliation with Liverpool, and I completely understand that. So that is not a good environment to start in. The man that's leading you, there's clear divide there between the fan base, and that's not great showing. Second of all, the transfers that he brought in, I expected Everton to do a bit better business. It seemed like the players that Rafa Benitez wants are just players that will do their role, but won't bring Everton to the next level. First and foremost, Andros Townsend. I was on your channel talking about Andros Townsend when he signed for you guys. I think he'll be a decent role player, but if you're talking about winning trophies, Andros Townsend is not likely to be that player. Begovic, Damari Gray. Look, these players are good as role players, but they're not the most exciting signing. Looking at it from the outside in, I wouldn't be too pleased if I was an Everton fan, and I'm not too sure how you guys exactly feel about it, but that alters my expectations. And then third and foremost, on top of that, you're having a player who's been arrested and there's a case going on. So with all them things considered, I realistically don't see Everton having a great season, but this does not mean that I expect Everton to fight relegation on mid-table. I think Everton will still be a top 10 club, but in the region of 9th to 8th. So they won't be fighting for European spots, but they'll still be there and they'll still be competitive. But I genuinely think that Everton should be fighting for European spots. But Carlo Ancelotti, what are you doing? Now, in terms of predicted finish, I've already said that, 9th or 8th. And finally, Everton and Crystal Palace's best players going into next season. I think Everton's best player, is going to be between James Rodriguez or Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Both of them, we saw it. We've seen their talent in the past. I feel like Rafa Benitez has to make sure he gets the best out of them. They're technically gifted. Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be interesting to see how he adapts to Rafa Benitez, because Ancelotti literally got the best out of him. He man-managed him properly. He was scoring goals for you guys. Is Rafa Benitez going to do the same? So I want to see what Dominic Calvert-Lewin does. But realistically, I think James Rodriguez is just a fantastic player, and I expect him to be your best player. And for Palace, I realistically expect Wilfried Zaha to be our best player. And that's no surprise. You're going to be saying, oh, here we go, Wilfried Zaha. But under Patrick Vieira, with the type of football that we've been playing in pre-season so far, I think Wilfried Zaha is a player to watch out for next season. If he's got more attacking duties and less defensive responsibilities, I can see him banging in goals. So Wilfried Zaha is a player to watch out for on Palace's side, and James Rodriguez on your side of things. But look, guys, thank you for having me on for this short preview. Best of luck to for the new season. And until next time, good luck.
Hey guys, my name's Phil. I'm from All Leeds TV. Just giving you a quick prediction for the start of the season. Looking forward to seeing you on match day 2. Our first away game of the season, so obviously we'll all be fighting to get tickets to that, but if I don't see you there, hopefully I'll see you on the show afterwards. Looking forward to this season, obviously, for both teams. Going to be interesting to see how you change over from Ancelotti to Rafa. I'm really interested to see the dynamic between Rafa and the fans, whether that be Everton fans or Liverpool fans, just in general. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch. You were really good at the start of last season. Obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin was the player that we all watched. Kind of a bit jealous of at first, but just sort of seemed to tail off. Fingers crossed. I think Rafa's actually a really good manager. He's a perennial overachiever in this country, and I think he could be a really good signing for you, but I kind of fear for your transfer business. Like, Damari Gray's a really good signing, shrewd at £1.6 million. I'm a bit jealous of that one, but obviously Damari Gray aside, I'm not really seeing the point in signing Andros Townsend or Asmir Begovic. I think Robin Olsen that you had last season was better than Begovic. And obviously, I'm just not a fan of Townsend. Maybe that's a Leeds fan thing, but I think you can do better. Obviously, there's still time between now and the end of the transfer window, so fingers crossed. I hope you get someone better in. No offence. But with regards to this season, obviously we finished just above you towards the end of last season. I think both sides will be pretty similar, to be honest. I fancy us to finish above you again, but only just. I think both sides will be fighting just to... I don't think either of us are quite ready for Europa League or Champions League football yet, but you know, the Europa Conference League, people can smirk at it, but end of the day, it's European competition, and I think both teams should be aiming for that. I think it's where we're at as a club for both of us. I'd like to see you pick yourselves back up after the disappointment of Ancelotti leaving. You've got a good manager, not as good as our manager, but obviously Calvert-Lewin, if he scores at the rate he was scoring at the start of last season, I'd fancy you to get top half at the very least and be pushing towards Europe, and fingers crossed for us, we've got Rafinha.
Hello there, Jamie from Leicester Fan TV here, also from the Fox's Arms in Port of Alcudia. So if you're ever coming on holiday, come and see us, look us up, the Fox's Arms, Alcudia. Just like to say, good luck Everton on your season. I was a bit surprised that Ancelotti left to go to Real Madrid, but I think Benitez will do a really good job for you. Whether he's got something to prove from his time at Liverpool, not sure. I think Jordan Pickford will be one of your star men this year. Calvert-Lewin up top. Demarai Gray, ex-Leicester player. Needs to be playing with confidence more than anything. He has very in and out games. He's a quality player. Just didn't quite improve enough at Leicester. And Calvert-Lewin, I think Calvert-Lewin will bang a hatful of goals in for you this year. As for Leicester, we've signed Dakar from RB Salzburg in Australia then, in Austria. He scored over 60 goals in 2 seasons. Soumaire from the league champions in France, Lille, who beat PSG to the title. We've brought a solid Premiership experienced left-back in Ryan Bertrand from Southampton, who knows how to put a cross in and beat the first man. And of course, we've got Jamie Vardy up top, who will bang goals in left, right and centre until he dies for us, because he loves our club. As for where we're going to finish, I think we're going to be top 6-ish. Everton probably mid-table, pushing for that European place, probably that new Conference League or maybe the Europa League. But we're going to be pushing a bit more. We've had 2 top 5 finishes. Hopefully we'll get that Champions League finish. Like I say, Everton mid-table to European places. Maybe a decent cup run for Everton. Everton are a bit of a known, have been pretty decent in the FA Cup over the last 20, 30 years. Maybe a cup run, but for us, as I'm wearing my FA Cup winners shirt, I fancy another cup win for us. So cheers for listening. Come on Leicester. Good luck Everton. I lost my dog. Yay!
Yes, Toffee Blues, it's Lewis here from City Extra. Just been asked to give my thoughts on Everton going into the new season. Everton obviously good side, got some good players, and whilst obviously surprised that Benitez is there, I do think Benitez is a good manager. I know there's a lot of Everton fans that are pretty annoyed and, you know, naffed off about this appointment, but I think he is actually a very good manager. I think, you know, I think he'll do well. Where should you be looking? Well, you've got some really good players. You do have some really good players, and you know, Everton should be finishing top 8 at an absolute minimum, in my opinion. And can they put a challenge for maybe top 5, top 4 possibly? I don't know. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but I do think, you know, minimum top 8, and I think you should be looking for top 6 is a sort of like stretch objective. Players that I really like for Everton, I really like Alan. Oh mate, I think Alan is a really, really good footballer. You know, people will go for the flash players, for the Richarlisons and the DCL, but I think Alan's just a solid guy. I really, really like him. And you know, yeah. So that's the position. That's the player. City wise, I think we're going to win the league. I hope we win the league. If we get Grealish and Kane, I think we'll win the league. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and good luck, lads.
How are we doing, Toffee Blues? Jay Motter here from Stretford Paddock. Giving you some predictions. Excuse me, I'm just walking down the canal on a bit of a mooch to go and get my car because it's just been for its MOT. Predictions. How do I think Manchester United will do this season? I think United will finish second this season. I think we'll finish the same way we did last season. Obviously, the signing of Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane has been a massive boost. But you look at some of the other clubs that look like they're strengthening. At the time of recording this, Manchester City look like they could be about to sign Harry Kane and Jack Grealish, which is obviously a daunting prospect for the rest of us. I expect Liverpool to bounce back from. Apparently they had some injuries last season, although they don't like to talk about it, so I expect them to be strong. But I still think Manchester United can finish second. Pains me to say it because obviously I'd like to think or say we're going to win the league, but I just don't see it happening. So I'll go with United finish second, and I think Jadon Sancho, our new signing, could be a bit of a star for us. I think that, I don't want to get too carried away, but I think he's a real talent, and I can't wait to see him, obviously with fans back in the ground as well. For Everton, I think Everton, I don't want to be too negative on you guys, but I've got to be honest. I think you're probably going to finish around 7th. I think you have got some good players, but I just feel like it's going to be a bit of a struggle to kick on in a big way from last season for you. I rate Richarlison. I've been a bit up and down with him, but I think obviously he's had a good summer, and he is a player that potentially isn't at his ceiling. He might have another level to go, and I think if he has got another level to go, then perhaps he could be the catalyst for you to take you a bit higher than 7th, maybe get you involved in the Champions League conversation. Just don't feel you're there yet, but I think Everton will be in and around the Europa League spots, maybe the Europa Conference, and I think Richarlison could be a player that maybe gets his goal tally up. So yeah, United to finish second, Everton to finish 7th, and we'll see whether I'm right at the end of the season.
Hi there, it's Mark from the Newcastle United fanzine podcast True Faith, with my perspective on how I think this season's going to go for both clubs. It's not exciting up here yet again. Mike Ashley refuses to put his hand in his pocket and spend any money. We've got a manager we don't want, and we seem to be basing our whole transfer window on signing one player, and that's Joe Willock from Arsenal. If we got him through the door, he'd be a welcome addition. He was the difference between possible relegation and finishing in mid-table last season, which really flattered us. Welcome addition, but it leaves us with exactly the same players of who ended last season. So there's no progress, there's no signs of trying to kick on and achieve something. Much of a muchness, and it wouldn't surprise me if we finish as low as 14th and as high as 10th. Highest 10th would only be if we can keep St. Maximum and Callum Wilson fit. St. Maximum will be playing, towards getting to the French World Cup squad next season, as well as, to be perfectly honest with you, and move away from Newcastle, because Newcastle won't match his ambitions, and it wouldn't surprise me if we cash in on him, if not in January next summer. Callum Wilson, 15 to 20 goal striker, genuinely believe that. Keep him fit, St. Maximum to supply the bullets, and Willock, if we get through the door, to sweep up anything that Wilson doesn't get. So 14th, highs 10th, same old. For Everton, Rafa Benitez, a man we would love to have back at the club. I'll happily swap you Steve Bruce for Rafa Benitez, but you already know that. He will take us forward. I genuinely believe that. He will take us to flirting with top 6, but definitely top 8. And we have a very good chance of winning a cup. Benitez wins trophies, so I wouldn't be surprised if Everton win a cup next season. Key players, Jordan Pickford. He needs to make his decision making a little bit better, shall we say. He could be the difference between winning and losing games next season because of his decision making. But he's a great keeper, and he had a fantastic Euros, so wouldn't be surprised if he kicks on and goes to another level. And Ross Townsend, a man Rafa Benitez got the very best out of when he was at Newcastle and tried to re-sign him when we got promoted, but unfortunately Mike Ashley didn't back him yet again with the players he wanted. And then you've got Calvert-Lewin, goes without saying, 20 goals. Keep him for 5-6 seasons. He could be looked back in years to come as an absolute legend at Everton. So there you go. Between 10th and 14th for Newcastle, between 6th and 8th, and a cup for Everton. Good luck.
The Toffee Blues. It's so good to see you, lovely lot. Chris Reeve, Talk Norwich City here. How do I think Everton will do next season? Well, look, I think you've got some quality players. You've always had quality players. But will they work as a cohesive unit under Rafa Benitez? That is, of course, the question that you guys want to know the answer to. Look, one thing for sure, Rafa Benitez will have his side very well drilled defensively, of course, with the mighty Ben Godfrey at the back. You'll be fine defensively. But my concern, if I was an Everton fan, would be how are we going forwards? How are we connecting to Calvert-Lewin up top? So I think you'll be all right. I think you'll be in and around those Champions League spots. I think it'll be a big ask, though. I think this is going to be a transition season for Everton, though. So I wouldn't be surprised to see you guys just above mid-table, which isn't what you want to hear, of course. But I think that's the brutal truth of where you're at. But I want to say how much I respect Everton as a football club, proper football stadium, proper fans. So nothing but respect. But I do think it'll be a transition for you boys next season. As for Norwich City, I'd bite your hand off for just above the relegation zone now. Defensively, we look stronger this time around. We've signed Ben Gibson, of course, of Burnley. Prior to Norwich City, was unlucky to not break into the side there after getting an England call-up. Dimitri Giannoulis, who was rumoured for a move to Newcastle, Roma or Porto just before we managed to sign him, which is good for Norwich City. We've just signed Pierre Lise-Malou from Nice as well. So we've really bolstered defensively. Lise-Malou's a midfielder, mind, but sitting just in front of that back four. So look, I'd bite your hand off for just above the relegation zone. I think we'll be fine, but it's going to be a really rough ride for Norwich again. Look, I'm proud of who we are. I'm proud of how we tried to operate. We're not trying to spend too much money and break our football club. We're a self-sustained football club. We don't have a billionaire backer like you boys pumping money into it. For example, the Emi Buendia money. Everyone's like, well, you got the Emi Buendia money. Well, yeah, but we've also got £35 million worth of debt from the COVID crisis that basically can't get plugged by a billionaire owner. So I hope that Everton fans want Norwich to do well next season. I think we will do well next season, but I think it will be a rough ride. Fingers crossed we can get it over the line. Everton's player for me next season, I think Calvert-Lewin is my shout. However, I have to say Ben Godfrey, what a signing he is for you boys, and looks a steal for the price that you paid us for him. So physically powerful, really maturing with every season. Was actually somewhat surprised, if I'm really honest, with just how well he hit the ground running for Everton last season. And as for Norwich City, our player of the season, if it's not Timu Pukki, Pierre Lise-Malou. Remember the name.
Hey guys, Jack here from Matchday Vlogs here to talk about Everton and Southampton. Opening game, maybe a little bit. Hey guys, Jack here from Matchday Vlogs here to talk about Everton and Southampton. Opening game, maybe a little bit of the season ahead. I think it's going to be the worst game of opening day. I feel that our squads, depending on how our transfers go from now until next week when the game starts, I don't have an awful lot of confidence in the team. So, and we are looking at heroes stepping up within our squad. We're looking for Nathan Teller to really do a job. And to be honest, guys, I would look out for Nathan Teller this season. He's one to keep an eye on from us. We've lost Ings. You know, Ryan Bertrand has gone to Leicester. I'm sure maybe in the next few days we might hear some other things, you know. If we get to the game and we've still got Vestergaard, awesome. But who knows? So it's a weird year for Southampton. You know, I feel there's a lot of people in our fan base that are a little bit scared going into it. A lot of people thinking 17th is kind of in our future. Quite personally, I'm always on the upside, always optimistic. 16th, 15th. I'm gravy, either way. As far as how do I feel about Everton? Last season, guys, I was so behind your dream. I was one of those people in the opening 5 or 6 games going, I reckon Everton might do some tricks this season. And then, hey guys, listen, we were top at one point. We know how it feels for the dream to slip away. And I know that, you know, you guys are might be feeling 50-50 about Rafa and Rafa Ball, but listen, it could have been Nuno. Rafa does a lot for very little, and he's proven, and he loves the league. Guys, look what we did for Newcastle. He made Newcastle pretty alright. Not good, pretty alright. He should do alright with you guys. Looking forward to see you guys on opening day. See you soon.
People, it's Tapping Tobes here, reporting live for the Toffee Blues, and I'm here to give my take on Everton this upcoming season. If I had to sum up Everton by a couple of words this season, they just haven't done enough. They've not done enough to address their biggest issues from last season and from previous seasons in the past. I look back at Everton's transfer window last year, and I actually look back at that as a really good window for them because the midfield for Everton was quite poor. Not enough quality, not enough personality, and they went out and signed 3 starters in their midfield. And then on top of that, they signed Ben Godfrey. So I actually think defensively, apart from the right back situation, I think Everton have something like a decent crop of players to work with. Goalkeeper is always going to be the goalkeeper. I don't trust him at all. Rafa Benitez, I think he's a good manager, but how much can he elevate Everton up this table with the added competition? It's gonna be a hard ask with some of the business they've done this summer. I've always been hugely critical of Everton's wide options. I didn't like Bernard. I felt he was poor. I didn't like Iwobi, and I couldn't believe they spent 40 million on him. And then this summer, after letting Bernard go and after letting Yannick Bolasie go, you would have thought Everton would rectify their errors. But no, they go out and they sign Andros Townsend, who's pretty much losing his mobility. He's a one-trick pony. And then they signed Demarai Gray for almost 2 million, a player who wasn't even good enough to warm Leicester's bench. But Everton are signing him. Make it make sense to me. Striker, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I expect that he will still be in the goals. I expect Richarlison will have a better season. Don't really know what's happening with Moise Kean, but I'm not expecting much from Everton. If I had to put my money where my mouth is, I would bet on them finishing anywhere from 9th to 11th this season.
Hey Toffee Blues, my name is Jacob Coleshaw. I'm a Watford fan and founder of WD18, the Watford Fan channel. Big shout out to the guys for having me on today. If you want to check us out for some Watford content, make sure you do go and give us a follow on WD18. I'm going to split this video into 2 parts. We'll start with Everton first, then we'll move on to my team, Watford. There's been a lot of drama, I guess, over the last few years between Everton and Watford with the whole Marco Silva situation, Richarlison joining for around £50 million, Decore obviously moving. So, there's a bit of a history between the 2 clubs anyway. But look, I think I'm not too sure that you guys will do that well this season. I think there's a bit of a dark cloud hanging over Everton's campaign. I'm not entirely convinced Rafa Benitez is the right appointment. Look, maybe 10, 15 years ago, Rafa Benitez's tactics were probably one of the best in the Premier League. I don't know how good they work in the modern game, personally. I think the game's moving in a different direction. Yes, it definitely works against certain sides where you need to frustrate and they're going to have more of the ball, but I'm not entirely convinced he is the right appointment for this Everton team. To be completely honest, I was surprised that Carlo Ancelotti did leave midway through a project. The trajectory of Everton was going in the right way, I thought. You made some good signings through Rodriguez, obviously Decore as well. Some really good signings. I thought Godfrey's another one. So I was surprised to see him move on. And I guess then the question mark is over whether James Rodriguez will be staying at Everton. I think when, obviously he joined with Carlo Ancelotti being the manager, he was the pull factor, really. So, in my opinion, James Rodriguez is Everton's best player. So I think there's big question marks over him. I'm not entirely convinced about your transfer business as well. Demarai Gray, Asmir Begovic, Andros Townsend. 3 decent Premier League players, but are they an upgrade on what you had before? I don't think so. So in terms of where I'm predicting you guys to finish this season, it would probably be between the 10th and 13th bracket. If I'm going to pin down to a spot, let's just say 11th. I don't think it'll be one of your best seasons, and I don't think it'll be one of your worst. I just think it'll be a mid-table finish. As I said, there's question marks, I think, over your transfer business and Rafa Benitez. But I could be completely wrong, and he may surprise you. I guess you guys will be looking to push for Europe, and obviously with the introduction to the Europa Conference League, it gives more teams an opportunity to get a spot in Europe. So it'll be interesting to see how you guys get on. Obviously, we'll be meeting twice this season with us back in the Premier League. And moving on to my team, Watford. You know what? I'm quietly confident about Watford this season. I've predicted a 15th place finish. We've made some decent signings, the likes of Josh King, obviously following his expiration of contract at Everton. We've got the likes of Ismail Assar, Cucho Hernandez, who has just been on loan for the last couple of seasons away from Watford, has come back. Juraj Kuko, who's a proven Slovakian midfielder from Parma. Peter Etebo, Imran Luza. you know what? I'm quietly confident that Watford can stay in the division this season. A lot of neutrals have written us off, and understandably so, because ultimately, you know, we've got a manager who hasn't managed in the Premier League before. I can understand the kind of apprehension about us this season, but also I think we'll do okay. We've got a really solid foundation that we built in the Championship. If we can keep that into this season, I'm sure we can stay in the division. I guess the players to look out for from us, you know, working from back to front. Our best centre-back is Francisco Sierrata, an absolute rock at the back for us last season. Looking further up the pitch, Ismail Assar is our real star man. He is our best player. He's the man you've got to be looking out for. Can cause a number of teams problems, as we saw a couple of seasons ago against Liverpool. But that's my thoughts on Everton and Watford. Really appreciate the guys for having me on. Hopefully that was insightful on Watford and you guys, Everton, this season. Best of luck and take care of yourself. Cheers, guys.
Dan Lawless from West Ham Fan TV here for the Toffee Blues to give my thoughts on Everton this season and what I think. And you've got Rafa Benitez, who is an experienced manager, and I do think he's got something to offer, and I think he's still a good manager. However, I still think it's a baffling decision for Everton to bring him in. A run of bad results, and I think the fans will start to really turn on Benitez because of his links with Liverpool, because of him calling Everton a small club and all of that stuff. The patience isn't going to be there, but now he's got to come in and follow Ancelotti, who is a completely different type of manager. You know, Rafa's more pragmatic, and potentially losing James Rodriguez as well. I think that would be a big loss if he goes. He hasn't left yet, but there's a lot of talk. There's also obviously the scandal that I think the fallout for that will have a ripple effect on the rest of the team. And with that said, there's still some good players there. We're talking about standout players. Richarlison, I think, is going to have a good season. Calvert-Lewin as well. So there's good players there, and Everton have the money, right? They haven't really been going out and making crazy moves early on like we have seen in the past, but you have to imagine that you'll start to get players in, and players that maybe Rafa wants. I predict maybe like a 9th or 8th place finish for Everton, which I don't know if the Everton fans would accept that from Rafa. As for West Ham, it's so hard to look. We haven't made any signings. We've got a paper-thin squad. We have a very, very good starting 11. We have to bring in some players. We've got one striker, Antonio. He's brilliant, but he's injury-prone. I mean, like you guys, I imagine we're going to bring some players in. I think it's going to be between West Ham and Everton, who finishes 8th and 9th, to be honest. Because I'm West Ham, I'm going to say West Ham 8th, Everton 9th. I'm sorry. But if we don't sign anyone, we'll be lucky to get a bloody top-half finish, because there's no way we're keeping this squad fit for all them games for this season. Ben Rama is going to be a player to watch for us. He's going to have a very good season, so watch out for him in terms of players for us. Best of luck for the season. Yeah, I hope it works out for you guys. Obviously not at our expense, but all the best.
Hey guys, it's Dave from Talking Wolves. Just giving my thoughts on Everton ahead of the 21-22 Premier League season. Of course, for Wolves and Everton, it was probably two seasons that ended up a little bit, or felt like maybe from the fans' point of view, a bit pointless, because I think Everton, it started off really, really strongly, didn't they? And then it sort of went downhill second half of the season. And for Wolves, it was just, we started off all right, and then it was a very, very poor season, and probably a season for both sets of fans to forget. But new managers next season, new styles of play at both Goodison Park and Molineux. So it's going to be really intriguing to see who does well. Benitez, possibly not the most attractive manager in terms of play style, but knows the league inside out, and he's going to grind you out results and get you victories. So just looking at your guys' transfers, I think it's, again, very similar to Wolves, where, for me, from the outside, it looks like you're, as fans, you're probably going to be screaming out for one or two big signings. I think the signings that you've done are fairly underrated. I know they've got a lot of stick with Damari Gray, Andros Townsend, Asmir Begovic. Mate, I would take them as squad players every day of the week. It's better than, although you'd love to see under 23s players on the bench, really. But to have actual experience, Premier League experience on there, he's fantastic, really. And obviously a couple of outs there. You guys have saved some money on the wage bill with Bernard, Theo Walcott, Josh King, and so on going. I know Josh King wasn't there too long. But I think Everton and Wolves fans will definitely be screaming out for some more signings throughout the rest of the transfer window. In terms of the rest of the season, really, looking at Everton, they've got to be looking at top half again. As it stands with the squads at the moment, I know you've had a couple of players come back from loans as well. I don't think Everton have got enough as it stands to break back in to those European spots, that top 6, possibly top 7. But they're strong enough to be finishing top half for certain. I'll go with like a 9th, 10th place finish for Everton. And I don't think Wolves will be far behind. I think Everton as a whole, probably your squad is maybe a little bit stronger than Wolves. I think your defence definitely is. And I can imagine Wolves finishing in the same sort of position, maybe sort of 11th or 12th in the table. In terms of key players, you guys, I really like Richarlison. I've liked him ever since you guys brought him in. I remember he terrorised us at Molineux. I think it was his debut for Everton. Scored a couple of great goals. And, you know, had a really good Olympics as well with Brazil. So I'm not sure if he's going to be back for the start of the season for you guys, but definitely a decent player. And I'm going to be intrigued how Moise Kean, however you pronounce it, I'm going to be really intrigued to see how he gets on. Obviously, didn't have a great time at Goodison last time. Did all right at PSG last year. Really intrigued. And for us, Mr. Raul Jimenez had a decent pre-season, back from that long-term head injury. I'm really hoping that he's going to be bagging us the goals and shooting us up the table. Best of luck for the season, guys, and I'll catch you all very soon.